I'm Quinn Wisson from Vertical Measures, and I am here hosting VN's monthly webinar series. Today's webinar is titled SEO Essentials for Choosing a Marketing Automation Platform, and will be presented by our very own Christina Hecht. Christina is an SEO strategist here at VN, and she works on our clients' project long-term, helping them set and reach goals, getting them to understand their business's narrative as seen through an SEO lens, and helps them produce measurable results. Before we get started and I hand over the presentation to Christina, I just have a couple of things to note. Today's webinar will be available by tomorrow, so I will go ahead and send everyone that has registered an email with a link to both the recording and the slides so you can review and send out to your colleagues. And then also we're happy to answer any of your questions. So if you take a peek at your webinar interface, you will see a little question applet, and that's where you can type in questions to Christina that I will ask her after her presentation. Also, you can tweet us with the hashtag VMWebinar, and we'll get the questions that way as well. If you have any technical problems, the best way to get around that is just to sign off and then sign back on, and usually it fixes itself. I think that's all the notes I have, so I will go ahead and hand it off to Christina Hecht.
Thanks so much, Quinn. Thank you for allowing me to do this webinar today. As Quinn said, I'm the search engine strategist here at Vertical Measures, and if this is your first webinar with us, Vertical Measures is a content marketing agency based in Phoenix, Arizona. I bring to the table 10 years of experience in the industry, and I'm the subject matter expert here on SEO, certainly. But about a year ago, I was introduced to marketing automation, and it's been such an exciting time since then, figuring out the ins and outs of marketing automation. And I want to talk to you a little bit today about how I fell in love with marketing automation and came up with this concept of being the Search Fleurette. So I don't know how many of you watch the TV show The Bachelorette or The Bachelor, but if you watch it or you've heard of it, you at least know that the premise of the show is that one person is looking for love, and they meet 25 eligible singles with the hope of finding their forever match. So when I started putting this webinar together, it occurred to me that even though I haven't been a bachelorette for a really long time, I think of myself as the Search Fleurette because I'm an SEO looking for my perfect match in a marketing automation system. So if you're in the same situation and you're getting to know the qualities of different marketing automation products out there and trying to find the one that's just right for your company, I hope we can just have some fun today and we'll go on this journey to find love, as the host Chris Harrison might say on The Bachelorette. So today we're going to take this journey and we're going to first cover the basics of marketing automation. We'll figure out who uses it, how prevalent is it in the marketplace, in essence, who are the eligible candidates. Next, we're going to set the stage for SEO. On the show, the singles fall in love, as you probably know, because of all the elements. They're all just perfect. There's romantic locations and perfect lighting and dream scenarios, and there's cocktails, of course, but it's all in an effort to optimize the situation for the end result, so which is falling in love, right? So from an SEO perspective, that means optimizing for the end user and getting them to fall in love with your content. So as an SEO, I always care first and foremost about the human being doing the searching on the other end. So with automation, I want to make sure we're doing everything we can to meet that goal. Next, I'll walk you through some of the qualities and features to look for in a marketing automation solution. You might want to think of this part as the hometown visit section of the show, where you've narrowed down your possible candidates to just a few, and you're trying to get all the information you can about what makes them tick, what integrations or maybe quote-unquote family members they come with, and which one will be your best match in the end. Then we're going to talk about how to use marketing automation to boost your SEO and set you on the right path toward happiness with your final choice, the final rose. And finally, we're going to talk about best practices for a long and happy relationship with your marketing automation system. This is like The Bachelor after the final rose, where the bachelors tell all, but I promise there won't be any awkward confrontations or tears. So are you guys ready? Okay, let's go ahead. We'll get started. First is the marketing automation overview, or what I like to call meeting the bachelors. This is where they all arrive out of the limo, and you get a little quick overview of who they are and what is marketing automation all about. Marketing automation software is designed essentially to help businesses know their customer. It's going to help them personalize, contextualize, communicate, and optimize their content for that customer. Marketing automation tools allow businesses to sometimes create an entire website, but more often than not, what you're going to find is they allow you to build a microsite or landing pages that are specifically geared toward capturing leads, organizing your contact data, and then regularly nurturing your contacts with personalized emails or dynamic landing pages, perhaps, things that speak directly to each contact's unique details. Now, some of them come with content management systems similar to WordPress or something like that. And then others come with customer relationship management, things like Salesforce or things that help you organize your actual customers. Some just do one thing, like email marketing. So if you're not using marketing automation, you might be wondering, who uses it? What is this and who uses it? So more and more businesses, whether they either have 5 employees or way up to 5,000 or 50,000, they've turned to marketing automation as a way to grow their businesses. The adoption rate for marketing automation has grown rapidly over the past couple of years. And in fact, 79% of business-to-business marketers worldwide say they used marketing automation in 2015. 79% seems to be the magic number as well over here. 79% of top performing companies say they've been using marketing automation for 2 years. So you can see that marketing automation is wildly popular, and that popularity is really growing. All kinds of companies use marketing automation, companies large and small. You can really see how large companies are taking advantage of it, with 76% of large companies over 100 employees are using it to its benefit. And furthermore, companies that are outgrowing their competitors, 63% of those say that they're doing it using marketing automation. So I think that's really significant to jump on the bandwagon with everybody else at this point. So like I said, some products come as full suites with a content management system or a customer relationship management tool. Others are just best-of-breed solutions that target one piece of the marketing automation cycle. When you consider all the tasks and the needs that your business might have, from CRM to A/B testing of your landing pages, to email marketing, and last but not least, SEO, that's a lot of tools that you could be investing in. Marketing automation tends to bring those things all in one house with the full suites. And the types of providers that there are out there range from enterprise, huge things like the Adobe and the IBM and Oracle tools, to micro small businesses, businesses with fewer than 5 employees. Things like Infusionsoft are great for that. And they range wildly in price, of course. The enterprise ones are more expensive. And they also range in whether they started out as marketing automation solutions from the beginning, or whether they've been the result of evolution and integration with a different piece of software. So once you've met the field of eligible candidates, you're going to be really excited. You're probably excited at the prospect of using marketing automation to organize your sales contacts, deliver targeted content, and service those contacts to measure the results from one interface. But it's time to start the deeper kind of getting to know you stage, and we'll look at that through an SEO lens, of course, because we want our users to fall in love with us, as we said. So this is where your SEO agency or in-house experts will want to get involved and understand the marketing automation suite that you're considering. Marketing automation, we love it. As marketers, salespeople, and SEOs, we love the optimization, the relationship building, and the ROI attribution that marketing automation can deliver. But frankly, it also poses some inherent challenges to traditional website optimization in ways that companies may not have considered until now. While marketing automation platforms often provide valuable built-in search engine optimization tools and deep dive data about the web content it houses, the technical implementation of the software suite itself can create some SEO setbacks. With improper setup or an insufficient set of features or reasonable workarounds, a website built on a marketing automation platform may never achieve its full SEO potential. And that's not what you really want to hear when you're making a big investment into a new platform like this. On the other hand, I do want to say that when you implement a marketing automation tool properly, there are tons of SEO benefits. And those largely have to do with the kind of unparalleled data that marketing automation can provide, like real dollar conversion attribution to keywords and referral sources, specific intelligence into visitor behavior and content engagement, and insight into link building targets and channel performance. So all those SEO rewards come after you implement, after you've implemented your marketing automation when you're already in play, but it's during this sort of dating scenario that companies need to carefully consider their SEO initiatives and technical capabilities so that they can select and implement a marketing automation system that won't create SEO roadblocks ahead. If you've seen The Bachelorette or The Bachelor, you know that there's a lot of crying on the show. It just is what happens. There's broken hearts galore. So I want to help you avoid some of the heartbreak that could happen with your SEO when you're choosing or implementing a marketing automation suite. And some of the things that I want you to watch out for are not having access to your server, not having access to the root directory, not having SQL or SQL database access, and finally having limited control over the HTML source code. All of these things can really get in the way of your SEO. Marketing automation systems, like we said, they sometimes feature content management systems and sometimes CRM, but for the most part, they're basically software that helps you build microsites or landing pages on a subdomain, like landing.website.com. So you can easily build dynamic landing pages and lead capture forms and then score and nurture your leads, trigger emails, access reports, all that great stuff from one platform. But in order to use marketing automation software and all those cool tools, your microsite generally has to reside on the marketing automation provider's server, along with all the other users' websites. So that normally would make a technically savvy SEO pretty nervous because unlike hosting your website someplace where you have complete control and access to the server, marketing automation systems typically don't allow users to control or have control of the shared server. So that difference can result in some challenges that we'll cover here point by point. Let me just illustrate. So here's the basic marketing automation setup. You have a website and it's on a server host. And over here is the marketing automation server where your microsite or landing pages live and where the interface that you use to edit them lives. To brand your website as your own and mask the marketing automation behind it, what you do is you set up a CNAME with your domain registrar and you point it to the IP address that's issued by the marketing automation system. For the non-technical folks, what this is like is it's like registering a vanity license plate to a particular car's vehicle identification number or VIN. All the public sees is the branded domain or subdomain, while the underlying IP address belongs to the marketing automation system. So what can happen sometimes is you get funky URLs with either URL parameters like page ID equals 123 or extraneous folders and directories kind of jammed in the middle of your URL that you don't get to edit or you can't get around using. And that can be problematic sometimes. If you can't access the server, the other thing that might happen is you might not be able to make server-level adjustments or source file adjustments to improve your page speed or international targeting. That can be a big deal if you are trying to get organic traffic to your pages or just simply lower your bounce rate. Finally, you might not be able to access the log files, which sometimes SEOs like me, we need to look at those in order to identify and weed out some of the bots from real human visitors. Log files can be tremendously informative in that way, and if you can't see them, you kind of miss out on some of that information. Having no root directory access looks like this. Let's say you have a landing page with a funky URL like this. You've got a product category with capital letters, you've got underscores and a kind of a funky character in there, %20 instead of a space, and you change your mind because you want to have it be more search engine and human friendly and just correct some of those things. So this happens in particular a lot with marketing automation when your marketing landing page is no longer indexed. It's no index. You don't want it in the index, but you're moving the content to a main website or blog. That happens with us with vertical measures sometimes. What you want to do is you might want to take the landing page and move it over to your website. And frankly, sometimes the landing page gets inadvertently get some incoming links as well, and you want to pass that link authority over to a similar page on your main website, so that's why you want to move it. Anytime you want to rename a URL and rewrite it, you have to tell Google and Bing that, and the other search engines, hey, you know, this old URL is now found over here at this new URL, and the move is permanent. And that's what a 301 redirect is versus a 302. That means it's temporary. So these directions to Google, they're located in a file called the .ht access file. And that file always lives in the root directory, or which is the very highest parent folder. If you can imagine, it's just like when you save your files in, you know, a Word document or an Excel doc, you have nested folders. The highest one is the parent folder. That's the root directory. So that root directory is over on the marketing automation server. And remember, you're separated from that server, and you usually can't get to it through FTP or the host control panel. It's not allowed. So if you can't access the root directory and edit the .ht access file to create 3 URL redirects, you could end up with duplicate content in Google's index, which we all know is bad for SEO, right? Worse, you could end up with, having to delete the old URLs, and that'll result in a 404 error, which is just not a good opportunity. You know, it's not a great experience for the human user, and it's a missed opportunity for you to capture the contact and get them to fill out your lead capture form. Once again, here is the marketing automation server over here, with your CNAME masking the IP address and showing your brand. Behind those landing pages that you've created is a database, just like with every other website. And remember that you're separated from that server. But what happens when you want to make some site-wide improvements? Sometimes doing things through the database is the most efficient way to do that. Or what if you want to migrate your landing pages over to another marketing automation platform? If your marketing automation platform or suite offers a blogging platform, and you've got hundreds of posts over there, but you later decide that you'd rather blog on WordPress or use the marketing automation just for your landing pages, do you really want to start from scratch, or would you rather download your database into a zip file and take it with you and upload it somewhere else? I would think you would want to be able to migrate. So if you can't access the database, you may not be able to make that migration and take your customer and content data with you to a new place without starting from scratch. So you can see how that might set back your traffic and your ranking. Finally, you want to have some control over the HTML source code. Here's what I mean. This is the source code, just a basic version behind any landing page or web page. The head section of the basic HTML has a lot of powerful and crucial snippets that you can leverage for your organic SEO efforts. It's got metadata like the title and the description. It's got robot directives saying, you know, index this page or no index this page. Follow it because it's relevant to our content, or no follow it because it's not relevant. You can make things like, you can, snippets for browser caching, which can help your page speed, are located in the head, as well as your CSS files, your cascading style sheets. That's the look and feel of your site. You can make changes to your viewport so that anything, you know, you can specify the device that your visitor is using. Sorry about that. And finally, you can do international targeting. And what I mean by that is maybe you want to target that you have multiple pages that are highly similar or the same, but they're slightly tweaked to target regional languages, like spelling neighborhood with an OU for either Canadian or UK visitors. Or maybe you want to display the country's currency. You want to show euros versus US dollars. You may not be able to leverage that kind of international targeting or the browser caching and the CSS stuff if you don't have access to the HTML source code. But really, the good news is that you can avoid most, if not all, of these heartbreakers that come with marketing automation, either with things that come natively to your platform or through integration. So let's talk about what to look for in a marketing automation solution. I like to call this part the most dramatic rose ceremony ever. That's how they always say it on The Bachelorette. It's always the most dramatic. So these items that we're going to talk about, they might not be included in the publicly available list of features and benefits for your marketing automation suite. So just what I would do is encourage you to ask your sales rep or the implementation specialist if the items are available. or just kind of talk through their solutions and alternative workarounds, plugins, things like that. Sometimes those integrations are really great and they can accomplish almost all the SEO initiatives we've covered or that you might be dealing with. Okay, so let's say we're down to these two options. You go on the hometown visits, you've met the families, and or what we're calling their integrations, and they're both great. They both offer everything you're looking for in a marketing automation solution. But one offers what you need through integrations and add-ons. For example, you pretend like you love the bachelor's siblings, and that's part of the attraction. You just love his family. And then on the other side, the other one has everything native to the platform. It's just all included. He's an only child. You've got everything in one package, but maybe you're wondering if things will be lonely or maybe less flexible someday. So let's try to figure out which one will be better for you and will create a longer lasting, more fulfilling relationship in the end. Okay, remember how we talked about how being separated from the marketing automation server was something that makes technical SEOs pretty nervous? Well, I'll tell you, there's actually something really great about that. Marketing landing pages should be created on a subdomain. They should be. This is where they should live. And they should be used for individual marketing offers, for lead generation, capture, and testing. And that's it. Things like signing up for a webinar or doing a download, those should live on a subdomain. Subdomains are treated as separate sites, so the content produced there is only narrowly attributed to the corresponding top-level domain. And what that really creates is a playground for marketers to test offers and to do lots of testing. For an SEO, that means that we'll probably want to no-index those pages anyway, because you don't want multiple versions of your test page out there in the index. The other thing that we could do is we might use the canonical tag in the head. So in the head part of the SEO source code or the HTML source code, what that is it's a directive to Google to say, hey, ignore these other testing versions B, C, and D of this page, and only rank this one official version, version A. And that way, the pages, they can be indexed. And so if you do want to get organic traffic to them via either an exact title search or a URL search, but more likely than not, you're going to get just direct traffic to your pages from either links in your emails or your social promotions, and you're going to avoid duplicate content issues. You want to keep your authoritative content on your main website. That's where it should live. You're going to optimize it for organic search and link earning potential. You're going to get organic traffic to it, and that's where your evergreen content should live. So when you're using a blogging platform, either with your marketing automation or you're using something like WordPress, you always want to optimize your content. And what I mean by that is your authoritative content that is going to live on your website. That means you're going to use page titles that are the right length. They're going to have a keyword in the title. You're probably going to include your brand there. You're going to include a meta description that's 160 characters or fewer. It's going to be a description of the page that shows up in the search or in the SERPs. What it's going to do is help people click from the search engine results pages or SERPs through to your page. So it's a sales opportunity. You also want to optimize for that canonical tag we just talked about, pointing to the mother version or the version A of your page. And you also want to be able to control the robots tag there. And then of course you're going to put keywords in your body content, in your blog post or your article or whatnot. Next, you want to look for a URL mapping solution, whether it's something that's native to your platform or it comes through an integration. You want to find some way to create 300 redirects, either 301 or 302. Again, it's something that can either be native to the platform, it can be an integration, but either way, you're going to want to have an interface that allows you to make these URL changes on your side of the wall, if you will. So you don't want to be able to actually have to write code into the htaccess file. That htaccess file, not having access to it in some ways is a good thing because it's a very powerful file, and one misplaced comma in there, I've seen it blow up a site instantly, and it took a very skilled technical SEO or developer to get it back and have the site be fixed for you. So that file being so powerful, it's almost a good thing that you want to stay out of it and just do it through make URL redirects through an interface or an integration instead. Most marketing automation platforms have a spot for you to edit that HTML in the head that we talked about. What we want to be able to do is just write freehand HTML or JavaScript code to suit your specific needs. It might be things for the href lang tag for language targeting, configuring the viewport, or maybe using a CDN, a content delivery network, to deliver the images and the downloads on your site. Speaking of content delivery networks, what they are is, it's a feature that's sometimes built in, but is not necessarily, it doesn't need to be. It's definitely something that you can integrate from outside of the software. What a CDN does is, rather than serve your content to every user in every location from one server, like in this image, it actually hosts your content in the cloud, and it serves the content to the user's machine from a location that's closer to them. So what that results in is faster delivery, better page speed, because the geographic location is physically closer to them, and there's more lightweight, your server is more lightweight. So large file size images, video, and some downloads hosted on the CDN rather than your server. It can make your server and your code a lot lighter and easier for the browsers to retrieve and display, and then it makes it easier for the search engines to spider as well, so it's an SEO benefit. I will say the one best practice I want you to use when you're using a CDN is that you apply your CNAME, the same CNAME that you set up to mask the subdomain for your landing pages. You want to use a CNAME for your CDN content. That way you get credit for the content belonging to your site in terms of SEO, instead of that URL being something like http://cdn.amazon or whatever, something like that, the name of the CDN. And that's particularly important for getting traffic from image search, which is, frankly, it's an underutilized channel for organic traffic. So you want to make sure you're doing that properly. Again, most marketing automation software, either through integrations or native to the platform, they're going to have a solution for you to export your site or your database. It's all about marketing better, right? That's why we're using marketing automation. So with those 2,000 products that are available in the marketplace, it's really likely that your company is probably going to make a switch someday. You're always going to be trying to grow and scale and do things better and more efficiently. Sometimes it's because your needs are scaling up and you're requiring bigger, broader, and more robust tools. Sometimes it's because you can get better ROI from a lower priced tool, even if it means you're sacrificing some feature depth. So it's pretty common to migrate from one marketing automation tool to another. And in order to do that successfully, you really want to be able to export your website content, the database, source files, the customer data, because again, that traditional route of making a server database backup via FTP probably isn't going to be an option. So you want to make sure they have some sort of a solution for that. So even without full control of your server, your database, and source files, you should be able to properly implement a marketing automation system with best SEO practices in mind. You're going to seek answers from your marketing automation salesperson or your implementation specialist. They are truly essential to setting up a marketing automation platform properly and achieving your maximum SEO potential. So let's just say we're down to 2 bachelors. You're done with the hometown visits. You've looked at what comes with the platform in terms of integration and add-ons. You've made your decision to give the final rose to one of these solutions. So who is it going to be? I'll tell you that here at Vertical Measures, we gave the final rose to HubSpot. It was the one solution for us that met all of our needs. It has native tools and features. I'll tell you, we keep our blog on WordPress versus using the HubSpot platform, because as great as their content optimization system is, we just didn't need it at this time. We have lots of authors that write for us, and keeping things on WordPress just totally made sense for us. Overall, we felt that HubSpot was the best match for the agency, and it was the right scale for us right now, but it also has the potential to scale way up as our business grows. But the other tools that we've worked with and looked at have really terrific qualities that would make any other agency or business very happy for a very long time. So there are some, like I said earlier, that are meant for micro small businesses, 1 to 5 employees, and then there's others that are just enormous, enterprise level. They're super impressive. They're super expensive, and there are some, of course, all the way in between. So I just want to reiterate that with any relationship, It's possible that your perfect match today may eventually be something that you grow out of and need to change things up tomorrow. But our hope is that you'll be able to find the right match right now like we did. So let me show you a few ways that you can get the most out of your marketing automation and your SEO relationship. After your marketing automation microsite or landing pages are up and running, you're going to want to take advantage of the rich information that marketing automation provides about your customer to accelerate your campaigns and push your content forward into the searchscape. But you're really going to need to go beyond the basics of adding titles and meta descriptions to your posts and pages. SEO and marketing automation are better together, but only because you can perform more advanced SEO best practices. So even if you don't have marketing automation in place yet and you're still in the dating phase, by all means, please use these techniques insofar as you can with the regular authoritative content on your main website. Let's cover 5 SEO processes that are enhanced by or benefits that you can only get through the use of marketing automation. There's broader keyword research, marketing data, personas, buyer's journey, and ideation. Let's start with keyword research. I went to SMX Advanced, which is a conference in Seattle back in May, and Marcus Tober was there from Search Metrics, and this is what he said. He said, stop looking at keywords. Look at topics. Look at connected topics. Look at what matters for the whole page. What he's saying is he's reminding us that the web is a semantic web, meaning that Google uses semantic technology to determine the relationship between words and phrases to better understand what a web page is all about and how it's related to the other pages. So if you've noticed when you're searching, Google's always asking, did you mean this? Did you mean that? So try it yourself. You can search for the word apple, and you can tell that Google's trying to figure out if you're searching for the brand or the piece of fruit. So one of the things about semantic search and semantic web that has changed is with the advent of the Hummingbird update in Google. It was an algorithmic update that allowed you to ask full questions and then follow-up questions without having to perform the whole search again. So for example, you might say, where is the nearest pizza parlor? And then you could say near me. Or like pizza parlors Phoenix, pizza parlors Phoenix near me. So that's really been driven by a lot of voice and mobile search. We're searching more and more mobile and with voice. And so we're refining search, and Google's trying to figure out what we mean semantically with each search. The goal of trying to harness all that is that we want our brands to be associated at the domain level, at the top level, with a topic or a set of topics, because what that means is that our content is semantically associated with our main target keywords. So much so that we don't even have to use the keywords on every page just to make Google understand what we're all about. There's enough signals coming from all the pages that it understands semantically what we're all about. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to, how are we going to change our keyword research to take advantage of topics versus keywords? Well, the keyword research process really looks almost the same as it always has, especially these 3 pink boxes at the top. We've always collected input from your employees, from yourself, from your experience, and then brainstormed keywords that you know could be the seed keywords for your initial research and created an ideation list. Just started with a small list. Before semantic search, we used tools like the Google AdWords Keyword Planner tool, and that was about it, to find what the search volume and the potential competition would be for those words. Today, we need to broaden our keyword research into different tools. We need to use YouTube or images to find searches that are clearly people are looking for, but they might not register in the AdWords Keyword Planner tool because that tool, frankly, is a commercial tool. It's meant to find keywords that people will bid on with pay-per-click ads. So you're probably not going to find pizza parlor nearest me or near to me in the Keyword Planner tool. You'll also not find longer tail titles like you will in BuzzSumo. BuzzSumo is a tool that allows you to search titles or possible titles for your content and look and see if there's similar titles and how many social shares they've received recently. So you can use this broader set of tools to expand your keyword list. Next, we used to group keywords by volume and by keyword difficulty, but today we need to think about grouping them by topic and searcher intent. We'll talk a little bit more about searcher intent and what that looks like, but it's going beyond the keyword to a broader group of topics, or a group of keywords into topics. Next, you're going to produce a list of pages to create based on topics and searcher intent. In the old days, we would produce a list of pages to create based on competition or potential search volume. So now we're focused more on topics again. And later, in the final step, we used to be worried a little bit more about keyword cannibalization, meaning if you had 4 pages that were all targeting the exact same term. That's still something to consider, especially if you are if you have a large site. But if you have a large site, what we want to do is consolidate if the intent is the same. If the keyword serves the same type of user with the same type of intent, you might want to consolidate that content and produce either no index 1 or use the canonical tag to point to one that's the most authoritative version of that page. You're going to be creating more topical and temporal or timely content to achieve domain level topical association if you're consolidating based on intent and user. Next, we can really mine the marketing data available in marketing automation. You know, one of the things that's really wrong with Google Analytics and Google Search Console, which used to be called Webmaster Tools, is that the data, while wonderful, free, and very rich, it doesn't give you, there's so many more not provided and not set results these days that we really don't have as much insight into the keywords that that are working for us as we used to have. So one of the ways to recoup some of that data is to go to your marketing automation system. Your marketing automation data is going to give you not only the keywords that would be not provided by Google, but it's going to give you real dollar conversion attribution to those keywords. You can find out more about what channels and sources actually showed ROI than you can with Google Analytics. So I encourage you to mine this marketing automation data like crazy. It's super rich. Finally, or not finally, one of the other things that marketing automation provides is the opportunity to set up personas. Personas are basically your customer, 3 different types of your customer. Let's say you've got Bargain Bailey over here. You've also come up with Techie Taylor and Decisive Devon. These are 3 different types of personas that might hit your website. Bargain Bailey might use keywords like cheapest widget, while Techie Taylor is looking for required specifications for the widget. And Decisive Devon knows about your brand and wants to know about brand A widget reviews. As you know, that based on your keyword research combined with your marketing data, you can find out what keywords seem to resonate with particular personas and landing pages. You can weave those 2 things together and get really great insights. Every company has a buyer's journey. They typically look a little bit like this. There's usually an awareness phase, a consideration phase, and then a decision phase. And the keywords and the topics that relate to each might look something like this: troubleshoot for awareness, solution for consideration, and brand versus brand for decision. The first 2 are non-transactional. They don't convey implicit readiness to purchase. They're just seeking information, while the final phase tends to be transactional. It has implied intent to purchase, like brand versus brand, where to buy, best price on widget near me. That person is ready to head out the door and buy. So setting up your buyer's journey and determining what those phases are for your company, and then attaching keywords that belong to each phase is really key to the next step, which is ideation. So once you've put all these things together and you're ready to make an ideation list of the kinds of content and landing pages and things that you want to set up, it's going to look something like this. Set up 4 quadrants with different combinations of persona, intent, and buyer's journey phases. Then you're going to list the keywords that go with those designations. So let me give you some examples. Let's say we've got Bargain Ben, and his search intent is something that's cheap and in stock. He's definitely in the decision phase. He is ready to walk out the door and go get this item that is in stock. So he might search things like store name, price on widget. or where to buy cheapest widget near me, or best widget prices in the zip code. Those are 3 different ideas or 3 different keyword phrases that relate to one topical. So you might write a piece or have a landing page based on that if you're an e-commerce site. Next, we've got Techie Tailor. Techie Tailor is looking to configure and implement the widget. This person's in the consideration phase. They want to know widget configuration settings, they want an implementation guide, or they're looking for an integration API. These are highly technical keywords that aren't shared by a different type of persona. Just to give you an example of what Techie Tailor might look like in an awareness phase versus the consideration phase, this person might be problem solving. They're looking for a troubleshooting guide this time, or they want to upgrade the widget, or they want to resolve a particular widget issue. And finally, we've got Decisive Devin. This person is looking for reviews and endorsements. They're definitely in the decision phase. They're, again, they're aware of your brand A widget reviews, or widget testimonials, or widget consumer reports. Those are 3 different keywords: reviews, testimonials, and consumer reports, but they have the same intent, and they're attached to the same persona. So after the final rows, when the bachelors tell all, we want to have some best practices for a happy relationship. You've implemented your marketing automation system. You are going through the steps and boosting your SEO with all those great features and benefits. But now there's ongoing maintenance that needs to be done. Any relationship takes work and effort and investment, and that's what you're doing with your SEO, is you're investing in your relationship. So the things that you want to take care to do in your ongoing time as an SEO or as a business leader, you want to no index any off-the-shelf templates or unused content that comes with your marketing automation system. Sometimes they are very helpful and they'll set up some templates or pages for you to follow, but you don't want those to get indexed with blank content and your brand associated to them. So go ahead and right off the bat, no index those so you can play with those in your testing playground. Regularly, you want to audit your 300 redirects. Just to make sure that you are moving content efficiently, telling Google, hey, we've moved to a new address, it's over here. You want to audit those on a fairly regular basis, I would say bi-monthly. You want to audit your canonical tags. This is something that you can take a look at probably once or twice a year. Most canonical tags get put in automatically as the self. So let's say you have a blog post that it's a single blog post. It's going to have a canonical tag that's itself. That's fine. What happens sometimes is you get paginated content with, blog post name, page 1, page 2, page 3, and you want to make sure that the canonical tag points to the version with no pagination on it. So that's one scenario that can arise, and you want to audit that fairly regularly. You also want to audit your robot directives. You don't want to be indexing content that you don't want indexed, and you certainly don't want to have something inadvertently no indexed because it's not getting traffic if that's something that you wanted. You want to set up custom 404 or 400 and 500 pages. 500 errors are server level pages, and you want to no index those. What they do is if a customer does happen to hit a dead page, you don't want them to just see a white blank page. You want to take that opportunity to add links and send them to your most popular content so that you can retain them and not have them exit your site. Next, you want to capture your data. You want to definitely install Google Analytics. It's the de facto standard for analytics and SEO and with web marketing. So certainly install that. You also want to start up Google Search Console, which, as I said, used to be called Google Webmaster Tools. We're still getting used to the new name. But there's lots of rich data available in Search Console as well. The one that gets overlooked most is Bing Webmaster Tools. Webmaster Tools from Bing is a terrific tool. They have most of the same benefits as Search Console from Google, but they actually have some additional features that you can only get over there at Bing. So definitely take the time to set up a Bing Webmaster Tools account. You want to use your CNAME for all your CDN images and files, as we discussed. You want to be able to get credit for those in image search. Optimize your content always. You know, you're always going to use a proper URL structure, something that's search engine friendly and human friendly. Don't use capital letters. Don't use underscores. Stick to hyphens and lowercase letters, and try to keep it as simple as possible. Research your landing page title ideas. This is something that happens with when we were talking about keyword cannibalization, having 4 or 5 pages that all rank for the same keyword. You want to avoid that. So to do that, you want to research your landing page title ideas with this 4-step process. First, you're going to search Google for your keywords or your proposed title. You're going to identify whether one of your own pages already owns that topic already. Does it already rank highly? Then you want to note the competitive landscape. Who else is ranking for that? Do you think that you have a chance about ranking, you know, a Forbes.com or the people down the street, that, you know, your competitor down the street? Note the landscape to see if what your chances are of competing there. And then finally, you just want to tweak the idea if any of these things are an issue. If cannibalization or competition are an issue, something already owns the page, or the competition is too steep. With optimizing content, as we talked about, on a landing page, marketing landing pages are meant to be on a subdomain. They're often no indexed, so optimizing them, not necessarily for search, but you certainly want to A/B test them. So that's another way to optimize your calls to action, your titles, your buttons, your forms. Certainly do your testing. And then, of course, on the organic side, you want to keyword optimize every organic post. Don't go crazy. Follow best practices that are available out there on the web. This is a general statement, but certainly optimize every organic post. Links, we know, are the biggest signal of authority and ranking signals out there. So we want to use internal links with exact match anchor text. We know that exact match links coming in from external sources is a no-no. That used to be something great, but now with the Penguin update a couple of years ago, we know that exact match is frowned upon because it looks manipulated. But with internal links, that is your opportunity to use exact match anchor text to push authority based on a certain keyword or topic to those pages that should be the canonical versions and the sort of the hub versus the spokes. You want your hub, your target hub, to have internal links pointing to them. There we go. You want to ensure that your internal links point to the correct canonical version of the destination URL. Specifically, this means, this happens a lot with home pages. Let's say your web page is www.example.com. When you plug it into the search engine, there's no slash at the end, what we call a trailing slash. But yet your canonical URL tag in the source code says example.com/, or with a www versus a non-www. So we want to make sure that the internal links that we're appointing are always going to the correct canonical version. You also want to ensure, have those internal links point to the content hub or the topical owner, as we said. So this is something that you would semi-annually audit. You would also audit your incoming backlinks. You want to use automated tools to score overall. You want to make sure you're looking for keyword or links that could be coming in that could be considered negative SEO or just spammy links. So when you use automated tools to score overall, you might find that you can quickly determine that half of your links are toxic and the other half, there's a 25% of them are questionable and 25% are great. So you want to take time to manually review those questionable 25% of your links, go through each one of them, look and see if the link is really there. Is it relevant? Does it use good anchor text that seems natural and not spam or spammy or gamed? Then your final step would be to disavow spammy links or domains. If you're under a manual penalty from Google, you have to take the time to make outreach efforts to webmasters to have your links removed, and then you write a letter for reconsideration. But if you're not under a manual penalty, you can just go ahead and disavow any spammy links or domains to sort of break that association with those spammy sites. That's it. Do you guys have some questions? Let's talk.
Yeah, we've got some time, so use your webinar software to send us questions or use the hashtag VMWebinar. So I've got one question here from Kenneth, and he asks, would you mind defining the not set searches for me when you're talking about keywords. How does it differ from unknown, or does it?
If you had a Venn diagram of the two, there'd be a lot of overlap. And I don't actually know the exact details of when Google makes it not provided and when it makes it not set. Essentially, they're one and the same. They do have to do with private browsing, people not wanting their history to be shared or their search activity to be shared. That's a setting that you can set up in your security settings. But with 90% of keywords being not provided or not set, it's probably Google holding back that data more than it is people having secure privacy settings.
Darn Google.
I know.
So then you mentioned a lot about where your content lives. Is it on a subdomain? Is it on a subdirectory of your main domain? But then you also mentioned about how, we have WordPress as our blog, but we use HubSpot. So what is the point where if someone's considering a marketing automation platform, when do they decide, yes, we're going to migrate everything, or no, we have enough authority? Like, is there anything that would point them towards what would be beneficial or not?
Yeah, I think the general rule of thumb is if it's something that you're going to be testing and making multiple versions of, it's something that you don't want indexed because you don't want to deal with the hassle of the duplicate content and having to 301 redirect things and deal with canonical tags. So I would say things that are going to be tested should live on a subdomain in a testing environment that is live but is no index. I think the authoritative content should live on your blog or your main domain in general. The only time I can see wanting to have your landing pages indexable and get organic traffic is when you do have that sort of brand recognition and massive signups for your downloads and your webinars and things like that, where it's not coming just from your marketing automation efforts, it could be coming from organic. But again, you want to be able to control that and measure it with marketing automation data. So I would say the general rule of thumb is landing pages are specifically meant for marketing. They live on a subdomain that's no index. And then the rest of it, all the great content that you're putting out that's authoritative and that leads to those landing pages and sort of acts as the spoke content for those hubs, that should live on your main authoritative website and certainly be indexed by the website or the search engine.
So then we have another question, kind of clarifying even that point about if you are having a landing page on your subdomain and then you're also having a authoritative page of content on your own domain, kind of where do you point to and where? In email marketing, do you point to your landing page? In social, do you point to your landing page? And then on your site, do you point to just what's kind of that rule of thumb?
Well, I think it depends on your goal. I think if you're trying to capture leads and get more information about your customers, then a link that goes out in your email marketing should probably, and it's for a specific event, like a webinar or a download or something like that, then it should definitely go to your landing page. But if you have regular email communication that's building sort of the loyalty and the information about your brand, and you have a monthly email newsletter, for example, that has a sample of your RSS feed of your blog posts, like 3 recent blog posts, then those links should go directly to your blog because you want that traffic. You don't want to keep those customers that you've tracked with marketing automation data to necessarily live in a vacuum and they can only be exposed to your content over here.
Yeah.
You want them to be a part of your brand and a user of your entire brand.
Okay. Yeah. And then just shifting gears, we have time for one more question from David. He asked, you just referred to being penalized by Google. When I check the status, it just says you may be penalized, but it's nothing definitive. How do you actually know if you are or not?
I think that's a pretty good signal that you have been penalized manually. I think the tough ones are the algorithmic penalties where you see it in your traffic, but you can't tell. When they give you some sort of a message in the messages part of Search Console, you have been penalized.
Yeah.
They just aren't giving you good information about that. That's such an unfortunate situation because you don't know where did I go wrong? What do I have to fix?
Yeah. Sorry, David.
Yeah.
We do have a Google penalty recovery kit that's free for download on our site if that helps anyone that is a little bit worried right now. But I do see we have a couple more questions, but we're out of time, so we'll try to answer those via email. But in the next slide here, we actually have a kind of even expanded free download about what Christina just covered. And it goes into 6 ways marketing automation can hurt SEO that no one's talking about. So if you're looking to dive even deeper into this, you can download that for free at bit.ly/6SEOauto, or go to our website. And you can grab that there, and we even have a checklist of 19 questions to use when you're actually picking an automation software, so that's pretty helpful. And of course, we do these every month, so feel free to come back next month, September 17th. We are talking about the conversion rate optimization conspiracy. So are you a believer or not? And this is actually a co-webinar with WordStream. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to be talking about what people think conversion rate optimization is and what it really is. And it isn't always to do with changing the color of your registration button or your download button. So that should be pretty fun. But you can register for that on our site, verticalmeasures.com/webinars. And again, thank you, Christina, for laying out all your knowledge on us today. And thanks for everyone for coming. And we will send a follow-up email tomorrow with a recording and the slides. So thanks for coming. Bye.